This was sent to cornydrivethrough@gmail.com. What an episode this week. From
That's
Andrew.
what a lot of people are saying.
This one's from Andrew. I've been following the show for the past year and love the content. You guys are very entertaining and two very great wrestling minds. Well, thank you very much, Andrew.
Thank you, Andrew.
Jim, your Dark Side of the Ring appearances are awesome. That being
Does
said,
this guy want money?
That being said,
Uh-oh.
I wanted to drop in with a question. Who should take the AEW World title off Hangman Page? Should it be one of the big veteran names like Danielson or Punk? Or some young guys like MJF?
Who? Possibly some creditor should repossess it. That would go along with the story that he's been drunk and a failure, and now that he's just got his life back together and won the title, his past catches up with him, he owes everybody money, and some creditor comes and repossesses the world title belt until he pays some bill off, and then we end up with some accountant from Cleveland wearing the AEW world title. The fans will be in a frenzy. He'll be the hottest heel in the company. Or we could just not do any of that. I mean, I'm sure they've got Tony Khan has already said that the title succession has gone exactly the way he envisioned it, for good or bad. It's exactly the way he envisioned it. So since most of the things that he thinks of don't have a rhyme or reason, I can't figure out who he's got standing next in line. I've got to think Punk is a guy that doesn't need the belt, but I've got to think that Danielson eventually could be an incredible heel champion. That could
eventually?
What now?
Eventually?
Well, yes, whenever he don't need to beat Page for it next week, or elsewise Page is kind of flattered in 4 o'clock. But at some point, to manipulate the thing into his hands, he could work with everybody on the roster. He can talk. He's obviously got a ton of heat pretty much instantly over the last few weeks. So you could go in any direction from him, and it wouldn't be, detrimental to anybody's career to lose to Bryan Danielson. What do you think there, smarty pants?
I think I would put the belt on Danielson as soon as you can. Not rush it or anything, but, he's going to wrestle Page pretty soon. If not there, the rematch.
Well, when I said eventually, I wasn't talking about when he's goddamn old and gray and got a beard down to his crotch. I was just talking about not next week, because you'd make Page look like a spare prick at the wedding.
From what we've seen of heel Danielson the last few weeks, see, my thing is now I don't want to see him beat. I want to see him get a long title reign where he's this guy just kicking the shit out of people. Because then it means something when CM Punk, who doesn't need the belt, says, you know what, I want the belt because this guy's doing this and I know him. I've known him a long time. I was best in the world too. And there you got something people are interested in. I think eventually you can put it back on Page. I think, I thought a while back it would be Page to MJF at some point. Because I think MJF, it may be too early now, but I think he's on that future trajectory, I would think.
If MJF wins it, I'd like to see him beat someone with a little bit bigger name and a longer back history than Adam Page. I would like to see him take it off of a Danielson or a Punk.
But I think Danielson, neither guy needs the belt, Punk or Danielson, but Danielson with the belt makes a lot of sense. And the big match, whenever down the road, Punk versus Danielson for the belt, we said a while back that was the biggest match they could have before either guy was there. I still think that.
I think you're right. As far as selling tickets or pay-per-views or whatever the metric is, Punk and Danielson with something important on the line and a sufficient build would be the biggest thing they could do. Or they could bring Cody back into the title picture, renege on the stipulation, have him beat Page and turn around and drop it to Danielson on a fucking contract cash-in in about 10 seconds. And then the people could boo Cody out of the building.
What do you think about the idea of Cody going back on the stipulation? Which, the more you think about it, why even do the stipulation at the beginning if you weren't going to go back on it eventually?
Because he found, since apparently Tony Khan had the title succession already in his mind, because he said just last week or whenever that it's gone the way that he originally envisioned. Cody was looking at it. Well, what about me? You left me out. Wait a minute. I've got an idea. I can't win it, so I'll figure out a way that I don't get to challenge for it. And then nobody will ever know as to whether I could be the champion or not, blah, blah, blah. I think that's what's happened here. Early on, why would the guy lose a match that is a cold finish to indicate that he could never wrestle for the championship again unless he knew he wasn't going to get it to begin with, and that means he's going to be doing a lot of fucking jobs. Your thoughts? Is there any other reason to do that stipulation that early in the company, unless you're like, I'm going to get this out of the way because it's going to look bad when I'm not in the mix with Jericho and Moxley, and he didn't even know about Danielson and Punk.
Did Tony Khan say when he formulated his plan for the first 4 champions?
Before he started the company, I would assume. He said, this is the way that I envisioned it when we started out.
It couldn't have been before it could have been in his head. I was going to say he didn't know he had Moxley yet at that point. So, I mean, just when he started TV? Did he say these are my first 4 champions when he started the tournament? What was it?
You'll have to ask him.
Because did Cody bow out? Did Cody bow out? It was one of those dumb Cody ideas. You know what? I'll show everyone. I'm not going to be like Triple H. I'm not going to be like Jeff Jarrett.
No.
I'm going to introduce a stipulation that makes no sense at all.
I'm more than happy to be corrected by anyone with firsthand knowledge of the situation, but I'll guarantee you, as Uncle Tommy used to say, that Cody did this stipulation because he wasn't going to be the champion imminently or anywhere in the foreseeable future.